How's it hanging, YouTube? This is King of Feral Imps, and today I've got a deck profile for Spooktober. Hey, I actually made it. This is an updated version of Umbral Horrors, and if you're new and you have no idea what that deck is, well, nobody does. This is one of my favorite decks that I played a few years ago, and I've kind of been trying to update it every so often. The best part about this deck is that nobody knows what it is, so you have the advantage of the element of surprise. So I'm just going to go ahead and start the deck profile. Starting off with monsters are 3 copies of Umbral Horror Unform. Now what this guy does is when it's destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard while he's attacking a monster, special summon 2 Umbral Horror monsters from the deck. You can only use the effect once per turn, so you can't go Unform, Unform, Unform. The thing is, well, you can summon other Unforms, but you can't use the effect again. Now the thing is, he's got 0 attack, and the effect only activates when you yourself attack your opponent's monster, so you can't, set it and forget it and then get the effect off. You have to normal summon it, which, at the very least, you're going to get the effect that way. And you're going to take a lot of damage because he has 0 attack. That's sort of the downside to him, but the fact that he can summon 2 monsters straight from the deck, and a lot of the times those monsters can summon others, it becomes extremely useful because then you can go ahead and build up your dark monsters on the field. That's effectively all there is to say about him. Next is 3 copies of Umbral Horror Ghoul. Ghoul's effect is that once per turn you can make his attack 0, and if you do special summon an Umbral Horror monster with 0 attack from your hand. Now because he already has 1800 attack, he can't summon himself. So when you summon Ghoul, you have to summon Unform. So at the very least, you can go like summon Ghoul, and then summon an Unform from your hand, and then Unform attacks, and then you summon 2 more. What's great is you can use Unform to summon more Ghouls, and if you have other Unforms in hand, you can summon the Unforms. Or if you start off with 2, you can do that. There are some decent plays. So, summons from deck, summons from hand. It's pretty good in that sense, in that you can just get some good monsters on the field. Now, of course, there are other monsters we play, and for the next Umbral Horror monster are 3 copies of Umbral Horror Ghost. Now, this was a terrible card because Umbral Horrors, for the most part, they were all level 4s, right? You have the 2 level 4s and then the other one that can change into a level 4. So a lot of the synergy of the deck was being a good rank 4 engine, back when Xyzs were pretty good. Now they're still alright. But anyway, Ghost was terrible because what he does is during your main phase you can special summon this card as well as 1 level 4 or lower feed monster from your hand. And you cannot normal summon or set during that turn. You can only use the effect once per turn. So the thing is this, okay, it works in getting monsters on the field, right? But it was terrible because you could normal summon. So it's like, so what's the point of special summoning this if you can special summon another thing but you can't normal summon? It's basically the same principle as normal summon, special summon, except it's not technically a normal summon. So why is this card terrible? Well, it's a level 2. But now that we have link monsters that don't care about level, they only care about type, attribute, effect, stuff like that. 3 of these is pretty important. And the fact that, it can summon other things. So let's say you have Ghost and Ghoul in your hand. You can activate Ghost effect to special summon him, special summon the Ghoul. Ghoul can then special summon more monsters, or, you use Ghost to summon Unform, and then Unform can special summon more monsters, and then you have your Ghoul here, which counts as fodder for your Link monster, which you're gonna need if you're gonna have your level 4s to go ahead and summon Xyz monsters. So I mean, now that Link monsters are a thing, Ghost is actually useful. I decided to max it out at 3 because it just allows for more chance to see it. Again, if it's in the deck, you can go ahead and summon it with Unform because as long as you use it as the fodder for the Link monster, it's fine. You obviously don't play any rank 2s in the deck, so you're not going to be able to use this effect to summon stuff like that. But finally, all of the Umbral Horror monsters have a use. And then lastly are 2 copies of Will-O-the-Wisp. I considered bringing him to 3, but I think he's always been fine at 2. It's a level 1, but when it's normal or special summon, you get to target 1 Umbral Horror monster on your field or graveyard, and then he becomes that level. He does have an effect that he destroys stuff by when he's destroyed by battle, but that doesn't matter. You're not going to use that. He's just the additional level 4 because, he's an Umbral Horror monster with 0 attack, so you can summon it with Ghoul, you can summon it with Unform from the deck. So he kind of counts as a level 4, but not necessarily. Now again, like I said, only playing 2 copies so that you don't draw into him. I mean, you know, if you do draw into it, you can summon it with Ghoul, you can summon it with Ghost, and if you have Ghost and Will-o'-the-Wisp, you don't even have to bother changing his level to 4 because you'll use them as the fodder for the for the Link monster. And, you know, he's not bad. But, yeah, I think 2 is fine because there are just other monsters that we play that work as level 4s. But that's it for the Umbral Horrors, and, oddly enough, they all have some synergy, and now especially so with Ghost and Link monsters. But that's it for them. Moving on to additional helper monsters. We have got 3 Summoner Monk, because it's a level 4 Dark. Now, the thing is, the monster you summon with Summoner Monk cannot attack that turn. So, you can't... Okay, you could summon Unform, but if you do summon Unform, it can't attack. One way you could get around that is if you happen to use Summoner Monk. If you have Summoner Monk and Unform in hand, you can go Summoner Monk to summon a Ghoul, and then Ghoul can summon Unform, and Unform's able to attack and summon more Umbral Horror monsters. So, you know, it works out. Now, it is strictly level 4, so you can't summon Ghost or Will-o'-the-Wisp, but it's pretty useful. I think it's fine at 3, but I'm thinking of, or really trying to consider maybe other dark monsters you could use. After that, 3 Kage Tokage. Why not? Because it's a great monster. And you can search it out with a very, very cool card in the extra deck. But of course, you know, normally you're going to normal summon the Ghoul, Kage Tokage, special summon, and then Ghoul can summon more monsters. Combo it with the Unform. It's a level 4 monster, and it helps make your Xyz. Again, you know, you can always discard. You can always, you know, use it for fodder, not discard. We don't really discard in this deck, but you can always use it for fodder if needed. But anyway, with these, that's it for the monsters. Now on to spells. All the one-ofs: a Monster Reborn, an Upstart Goblin, 1 Day of Peace, a Deck Lockdown, and an Instant Fusion, if they're all gonna fit. Now, Deck Lockdown, that's kind of a little spicy tech right now. I may swap it for something a little more useful. But for the most part, we have stuff that you can just kind of stop your opponent. Neither player can add cards from their deck to their hand except by drawing them. We only play draw cards in this deck. There's nothing that lets you add, but it's, you know, it's decent there. It's a little spicy tech. You could swap this out for Prohibition and just be stupid like that and fun. You could up to 3 Prohibition. For now, 1 spicy tech Deck Lockdown. That's fine. You can swap that for whatever you want. Monster Reborn, decent stuff. Upstart Goblin, draw. Now, your opponent is going to get 1,000 life points, but at this point, you don't care much about life point advantage until you can get your field advantage. 1 Day of Peace is useful drawing, and again, you know, that combos with Unform, because you're going to take battle damage with this to set things up. So 1 Day of Peace, draw, get into your stuff, and then you're protected from Unform for that turn. Like I said, Deck Lockdown is fine. And then Instant Fusion to summon stuff from the extra deck, because there's a level 4 Dark Monster, which just helps just extra dark monsters. I'm considering maybe bringing an Instant Fusion to like 2, being even crazy, maybe 3, and then upping. But if you do that, you have to fill out the extra deck even more so with fusion monsters, and it's already kind of crowded in there with the new Link monsters. But anyway, that's it. That's all for the one-of spells. Now on to additional stuff to Scapegoat, because it's limited, semi-limited, to Cosmic Cyclone, because there's some good removal. You could put this for Twin Twisters, or you could put it for MST. Cosmic Cyclone is kind of interesting right now, but again, just maybe swap this for MST if you don't want it, because you do have to pay 1,000 life points. And then to double summon, because you just need extra monsters in this deck. And you can generally draw some good stuff, but, you know, if it comes to a point where you just have something that you can't really work with, double summon works out. And again, you know, spells, like, all of these spells, you know, they're neat and everything, but they also count as fodder for Summoner Monk. Say, you know, you don't want to pay that 1,000 life points, or there's nothing to destroy Summoner Monk. Double summon might not help you, because if, say, you only draw Summoner Monk and a double summon, or, you know, whatever, then you can discard it as fodder, and it counts as another thing. Scapegoat helps you summon some Link monsters. Now, they are Earth, and, you know, there's a thing about that, but we'll get to that later. This just helps you bring out your Link monsters to be able to bring out your Xyz then. Like I said, I'll talk about that when I get to the extra deck. That's it for the 2-ofs. The only 3-of left is 3 Allure of Darkness. I'm sorry the lighting's a little weird, but at least it looks nice when the cards finally get down. Allure of Darkness, all your monsters are dark, and you have some stuff that doesn't mind getting discarded as fodder. Because, of these cards generally are the ones that you might have in a position that might not work best. Or, if you draw 2 Kage Tokage, which happens to me more often than not, which is weird. So just allure one away, get into your the rest of your deck. And again, if you don't want to take that risk, discard it as fodder for Summoner Monk. But that's also the advantage of playing 3 Ghost, is that you can Allure of Darkness them away. But anyway, that's it for spells. As for traps, you're just playing some hardcore stuff. 3 Bottomless, because Bottomless is at 3 and it's fun. 3 Safe Zone, because Safe Zone is so amazing. And spoilers, well, you already saw the spoilers, but we play Key Beetle. Key Beetle protects any 1 card on the field. Safe Zone protects any 1 monster. The only thing is, it restricts it, is that you can only target attack positions, and specifically the monster you target can't be targeted or destroyed by your opponent's card effects, can't be destroyed by battle, it cannot attack your opponent directly, and if this card leaves the field, you take the monster that's protecting. But like I said, Key Beetle can protect it. So there's that relationship there. You kind of have like the unstoppable Key Beetle with the Safe Zones, and the Key Beetles, there are, again, some restrictions. It can't attack directly, but there's more to that, like I said, we'll get to, but, it's pretty neat. After that, 3 goes in match, because everything in the deck is dark. All the monsters in the main deck are dark. The extra deck is the only thing where it gets beyond dark. But, again, here's a cool thing. Key Beetle protects a card. Goes in match is a card that disrupts your opponent so badly if they're not playing, a strictly everything the same attribute. So it just works so well. You could also maybe play Rivalry of the Warlords, but it's really, really restrictive for you. A bunch of your stuff is Fiends, but your boss monster is an Insect. Just stick with the attribute stuff. But anyway, that's it for the main deck. Now for the extra deck where it gets crazy, we got a Thousand Eyes Restrict and a Dark Flare Dragon for the instant fusion. Dark Flare, again, is the level 4 that you want to summon, and I just threw in the Thousand Eyes Restrict because it's pretty neat. You can do some cool stuff with it. You can take your opponent's monster and then use it as the fodder for Link, and then that's pretty neat. Because, again, if you instant fusion it out, you won't be able to keep it for long to get some of the cool stuff, but at least, it can take your opponent's monster, and that's really neat. Take your opponent's monster and then get rid of it. Or if it dies, you can Monster Reborn it back, and hey, that's kind of funny. That's it for the fusions. Now for the Link monsters, a Link Karibo, because Link Karibo's pretty neat. It does need a level 1 monster, so you can bring it out with a Scapegoat. Heck, like I said, you can even use Thousand Eyes Restrict to summon Link Karibo. Or when Link Karibo's in the graveyard, you can ditch a Thousand Eyes Restrict for it. Again, we also do play Will-O-the-Wisp, which is a level 1, so there's some synergy there. It's just slightly useful. I'm considering bumping this up to 2, because that, which actually I really just need to bump this up to 2. Bring this to 2 when you make it. I need to get a second one. Because you can make these off of Scapegoats, and then you can use this to bring out your Dark Link monster. 2 Lanfarincus, because this is just a generic Link that needs any 2 monsters. You can make this with the Scapegoat, and that's why I'm playing the Scapegoat, because it's just more, it's just so good as reliable Link monster stuff. However, I'm not playing the Mrs. Radiant, because Mrs. Radiant can only be summoned by Scapegoats. Like these, if you're in a tight spot, you can summon Lanfarincus with your dark monsters. So that's just why it's so useful. And again, it doesn't have any effect, but the fact that it's a Link monster and opens up your extra deck zones, that's why I play it. But the stuff you want to go for is Wee Witch's Apprentice, which I think a better ratio now might be 3 Wee Witch's Apprentice and 1 Lanfarincus, but Wee Witch's Apprentice is just such a good card for the deck. Because now we have Link monsters that are for each attribute. So this requires 2 dark monsters, and additionally, all dark monsters gain 500 attack and defense. Also, light monsters on the field lose 400 attack and defense. That's the only thing with Lanfarincus, is that it kind of contradicts that. But also has the neat thing: if this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, target 1 dark monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. I mean, that's useful. But the thing is that these pump up and they stack. So, you bring out 2, they stack. And the best part is, see, Key Beetle is a great boss monster, especially with Safe Zone. But it's only got 2,500. With this, he goes up to 3,000. A 3,000 attack point, unstoppable Key Beetle. And the best part is, remember Key Beetle can't attack directly? Well, you're going to have the Wee Witch's Apprentice out in order to summon the Key Beetle, so you have additional monsters that can attack directly once Key Beetle like just rams over everything with its 3,000 attack. It's just much better. Okay, the deck still isn't amazing, but it's so much better with that. Anyway, that's it for the Link monsters. This card is so cute. That ass is... it's pretty nice. For rank 4s, just play whatever rank 4s. Rafflesia, I'd say Rafflesia definitely, because I'm playing... because me specifically, I'm playing 3 bottomless. Cowboy is good again now. Abyss Dweller, Exciton, Sky Blaster, myself, because it can search for the Kages. But sadly, I should probably drop this and get around to getting a 101, because 101 is actually sort of affordable now, because nobody plays it. You can already steal your monsters with Thousand Eyes Restrict, but just play whatever rank 4s, and then 2 Key Beetles, because Key Beetle's a boss monster. Key Beetle, I did mention it, requires dark monsters in order to summon, so that's why not every deck plays it. But hey, guess what? Umbral Horrors and all these cool support monsters are level 4 dark, so you can go ahead and summon out Key Beetle. So the specific effect is once per turn, detach 1 Exceeds material from this card, then target 1 card you control, except for himself. While this card is face up on the field, that card or cards, because he has 2 Exceeds material, cannot be destroyed by card effects. If this face up card would be destroyed, you can send one of its targets to the graveyard instead. So just any, like, if you have anything and you set it face down, he can even target the face down card, and if he would be destroyed, just send the face down card to the graveyard. I've done that in the past, so it just works out so much. And again, Goes in Match, hey, you can protect Goes in Match to make sure your opponent won't destroy it, because then they have to destroy Key Beetle. And the best part is, again, Safe Zone. Safe Zone protects Key Beetle. Key Beetle protects Safe Zone. There are ways around it in terms of non-targeting removal that wouldn't destroy, but for the most part, your opponent's not always going to have an answer for this. Okay, like I said, there are ways around it, but that's why we play other stuff. Here's the thing. He can protect 2 cards, so even if you only have 1 Key Beetle, Safe Zone that Key Beetle while Key Beetle Safe Zones this, and then next turn, just Safe Zone the Goes in Match, or Safe Zone the Deck Lockdown, or the Prohibition if you're playing Prohibition. You've got an unstoppable monster. A stoppable monster, but you've got a monster that's very well protected, along with some disruption, and that's the best part about Umbral Horrors, is that you can side into the other cards. So, side into like Imperial Iron Wall. Like, this deck was amazing. I started playing it when Vanity's Emptiness was legal, and you just protect Vanity's Emptiness, and because your opponent won't be able to special summon while you've already got decent board, and Vanity's Emptiness won't get destroyed when a card gets sent to your graveyard. That's the past. The card's probably not going to come back, but that's why this card is just so good and so important, and that's it for the extra deck. But anyway, let me know what you think of the deck down in the comments below. If you're a long-time viewer, let me know what you think of this deck and how much you like it, if at all, or if you're tired of me talking about it. Umbral Horrors are fun. They're extremely cheap. That's why I picked them up. They're low level. I figured out a strategy to work with them. Well, not saying that I took credit for it, but there's a strategy that you can work with. They're cheap. Nobody knows what they do, so you have the element of surprise, which actually, that's how I got my wins back in the day, and it's finally playable again with Wee Witch's Apprentice. So let me know what you think down in the comments below. If you have any suggestions, I did talk about some potential changes and stuff that I probably will change, but again, leave them down in the comments below. Let me know what your favorite spooky deck is. And, I don't know, this is a neat deck. But again, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Suggestions, other stuff that you think could work out. Overall, this is just Evil Swarm that can summon a little faster, but they can't summon Ophion. So, hey, there's that. But anyway, if you enjoyed the content, remember to leave a like, subscribe to show your support. Check out my other channels. Got a gaming channel, Pokemon channel, all linked in the description. We'll talk maybe a little more about that later. Anyway, this has been King of Feral Imps. Have a nice day.